Hey, beautiful thrivers. Welcome to another powerful episode of a Thriver Talk, where we dive deep into real stories of transformation, healing, and rising beyond narcissistic abuse into our most empowered lives. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Heidi, whose journey is a testament to breaking free from generational cycles of narcissistic abuse, because Heidi's story spans childhood, narcissistic parenting, toxic relationships, a life-threatening health crisis, and ultimately a profound awakening through the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program known as NARP that set her free. From escaping a narcissistic husband to surviving this major health crisis, and now thriving as a successful global business coach, Heidi's transformation is an inspiration for anybody wondering if true healing is possible. So Heidi, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here and to share your powerful journey with our Thriver community.
Well, Mel, thanks so much for having me. When you tell my story like that, it sounds like it is an amazing journey. And I will share with you that when I first started NARP, and it was 2016, I started looking at your stuff on video. 2017, I got my first taste of it, really like committed. I was going for it, and the narcissistic abuse that was going on at that time was truly life-threatening. But I remember seeing other Thriver talks, and I would hear those ladies talking, and I like so distinctly remember the feeling of thinking, God, I really hope that's possible for me. I hope those people aren't making that up, because if that's possible, then all I have to do is keep taking a step forward. And it was really challenging, but to be here today with you makes me feel really emotional, because I I just can't believe that we're like having this conversation and now I'm on the other side of the camera.
So beautiful.
It's
Okay,
amazing.
so beautiful. All right, so let's start off with just a brief rundown of your story and the narcissistic abuse. Okay, so let's get started with that.
Okay. The brief story is my parents were both raised by narcissists. Their parents were raised by narcissists. And when I grew up in their household at age 4, I ran away because I could tell. I was, I think, 4.5, but conned my little neighbor into coming with me. She was my age. Planned this whole thing, and it just was it just like as a child, you feel things and you don't know what to do with them, but you have these strong feelings, and you're like, I was like, I'm acting on that. I'm not going to stick around for this. But I remember growing up even further than as a younger, kid, I mean, an older kid, and then hitting my preteens, my parents got divorced. But all during that time, I kept thinking, I am not passing this on. I'm not passing this on. I don't know what I'm going to be the end of. I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to, not pass on. I never could name that. But I had that feeling like I'm going to be the end of the line on this, because it was so emotionally I mean, I was emotionally bereft. Like, I didn't meet my emotions until I was in my 40s. I just said, I'm not having emotions because that's clearly not okay. So, estranged from my father, picked up a narcissistic husband, a French chef. Nothing wrong with French chefs. God love butter. But yeah, it was one of the kind of narcissists where you think you're crazy, you think you're nuts. So I thought I was nuts until I realized I wasn't. And I escaped from him um, by the sheer luck. He was the kind of person that whatever he said was right. And I was the kind of person that was a little bit more logical, in the sense that it finally came to me, and I finally got to the point of like, you can't possibly be mathematically correct all the time, because that's not mathematically possible. So that was like the epiphany I had with that guy, and I escaped. But I didn't touch any of the stuff of why I had chosen him. I didn't touch any of those things. They were all too big. And quite frankly, at that point in my life, which was my early 30s, I thought that if I just have goosebumps even saying this, because
Yeah.
I thought that if I let my emotions out of the box, they would annihilate me. They would be so giant that nobody would be able to be around me.
Mm.
I couldn't even let it go. And like we talked about a second ago before we jumped on, I had horses. I was a horse trainer. Luckily, they totally saved me. That
Mm.
the whole thing about being a horse trainer and having a show group and living where I got to live and doing the things with horses that I got to do saved my life. And then that's interesting because I retired from being a horse trainer because I thought, um, if I get injured, how am I going to earn money? Basically, is what I thought.
Mm.
And I ended up jumping from that experience into a business relationship with a narcissist, a sociopathic narcissist. I mean, it was like all the red flags. We in the dating boot camp I'm in with you right now, where we were talking about the red flags, oh, I'm gonna ignore the red flags. I thought, oh my God, I just kept sucking on to the promise of the future. And this person did offer himself as the solution to fill in the blank. And a lot of it was tied to the other relationships in my life, my relationship with me, my relationship with food, my relationship with money, those core relationships that never, never got touched.
So
So,
true.
yeah. So, it was a heartbreaking it was a heartbreaking experience to be in that situation, and I hoovered that one down for not the first that marriage to that narcissist was 10 years, and this went another 10 years. Like, I have this 10-year sort of pop. This time though, about 7 or 8 years in, I started having these health challenges where at the beginning of 2016, I had a DVT blood clot in my brain,
Mm.
and I had a seizure. I was in the in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I really got this feeling like I couldn't do this business with this person anymore because now I was nearly physically not able to. And I could see this was by this time I was deep into your videos. And I tell you, those videos, I mean, this was before shifting. This was before utilizing the tools that we have, which are amazing. Thank you for Speedy Shifts. That is a lifesaver. Shifts Happen is a lifesaver, but NARP itself, the core foundation program, it helped me address myself. And 2 years into it, I had gotten to the point where I had blood clots, saddle pulmonary embolisms on each side of my lungs. I couldn't breathe. They were killing me. One was on the way to my heart. It made my heart expand to pre-bursting. And the doctor said, "You're only 48. You're going to have to go to one of the two hospitals in the whole world that can do this operation. And they're going to take them off with their hands. They're going to saw you open and take them out with their hands." And I was like, okay, that's the next step to surviving. And by this time I had split with a business partner because I mean, with between the NARP program and what I learned from being in your community and what I knew from, like we talked, I think I mentioned I had been in and out of head shrinking therapy, the sit down and talk about it kind of therapy. Well, I don't know, since I was a junior in high school, sophomore in high school. And I'm very grateful to all of those therapists. They helped me get me from where I was to where I am today, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without them for sure. But it was never getting me, it was getting the conversation about stuff done. but it wasn't getting me any kind of tools to eliminate. There certainly wasn't any kind of elimination of trauma. It was just a rehash of it. And I was living in it with this narcissist business, person. And it was this war inside of me. Like my body was saying, what are you thinking is normal? And my my body was saying, this is not normal. People don't behave like this. These kind of situations aren't normal. But I kept going from the outside in for approval, for, this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. And it was this giant inside outside war. And I went to this head shrinker, and she was so good. She introduced me to the other emotions besides the only one I knew before that, which was just straight up anger. And so I got, that was a bridge to you. But
was there a pivotal moment when you knew that you needed to heal at a deeper level beyond the traditional therapy?
Yes. Yes, there was, because it was like I went from therapy to the blood clot on my brain, to NARP, to what was really great about those illnesses? What was really great about them is that I had to sit down, and I was on oxygen. I could not do anything. So I had a lot of time. And so I was able to watch a lot of NARP, and I was able, it was the pivotal moment was really a sort of a transition from, what it was. We talk about this a lot in Shifts Happen. It was the transition from doing to being.
Yeah.
My body would no longer do. And so I
Yeah.
had to just be there with it. And when I had those blood clots on my lungs, another lady that I was working with at the time, in sort of a group situation, I had been invited to write an inspirational story in a group situation. And I was so wrapped up inside at the time between what I had witnessed from 0 to 48 and what I was witnessing from 48, and being just like, it was like being stuck inside of my body. I was stuck with this illness inside of my body. All the outside stuff, just, I couldn't do anything. So she asked me at one point, she said, do you really want to continue? Like, because I was super depressed. Coming from a horse training background, being active my whole life, to being sitting like inside of a hot marshmallow, which was my body, and being on oxygen, it was depressing. And so I answered that question with some of listening to the Thriver Talks, some of, being inspired by people inside this community that there was probably another side, that I could probably get to the other side. And that it would just require one toenail forward a day, you know?
So when did you start working the actual NARP healing modules?
2016. 2017, sorry. 2017 was when I purchased it. That was when I put my money down, like,
Yes.
I'm going to commit. And it was challenging during those times to get that done, because at the same time, my boyfriend of 10 years, who was involved with this business partner, also, we broke up.
Right.
And I had never been alone. I had always been alone, but inside a relationship.
Mm.
And so here I was, finally alone. And it was super scary.
So Heidi, when you started working the modules really seriously, when was that, and what happened as a result of that?
That was really in 2017. I really it was like in 2016, I was just kind of doing them, but not really
Yeah.
digging in, listen, but not write too much. And by 2017, my health was critical. It was
Mm.
critical, like as in the life-threatening kind of way that you don't think about when you're young. And I started using them and writing a lot more, grading myself on my, shifts, on the changes. And it really was a situation where, as a result, I was, I had you gave me tools, you know, tools to use to handle all of the internal war, which, by the way, had really quieted down. That had really quieted down. Once I decided that I was going to go this direction, that started to quiet down, and it allowed me to, like I mentioned, I was stuck inside of my own body, and inside there working the modules. It made a difference. It made a difference so much that I was able to like live through the experience, live through going
Yeah.
through a life-saving operation, live through transitioning out of a career that I had just spent the last 15 years doing. And I didn't know what I was going to do once I got done with this operation, but I had NARP. And
Mm.
so, like, I mean, so many things changed all at once.
And what
My,
about the residual, like those feelings of that narcissistic infiltration? What happened in regard to that?
what I got through the modules was that those were holes that they could come in through. And that by doing the NARP modules, I could not, I don't want to say seal up those holes because seems too defensive for me, but
Mm.
instead shed light, let the light shed onto all those dark corners, and where all those little holes were. Instead of corking them up, I was just from the inside out, just pushing light out those holes. And so it was kind of like that's really in the visuals. What I really remember seeing was myself as a filled with holes, holy. Um, and just the more I used the modules, the more I used NARP, was able to just solidify that kind of light structure. It's
Mm.
been definitely life changing. To even
Yeah,
have
so the thoughts about the narcissism stuff, like they went, how long did it take before you were kind of free of that haunting that everybody
Oh, the best news
experiences?
is, yes, the best news is that it took, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to compare my timeline to anybody else's
Of
because,
course, it's your
you
timeline.
know, it was
Yeah.
my timeline, and it took me a couple of years. It really
Mm.
did. It took me 2, 3 years to get that feeling of not looking over my shoulder or feeling like I was being attacked, or even to know and recognize when I was feeling, oh, if this, I feel I'm going to be annihilated.
Yeah.
That experience, and
Yeah.
then to be able to go like, oh, well, there I am at the annihilation spot again. So there must be some stuff under here that I haven't quite dug through,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
to get to that annihilation again. But um, I would say that by 2018, I felt really confident, not just not actually right after the operation. I thought, you know what, I must have been left here for some reason, and I couldn't say enough things about NARP, and I talked to everybody about it, and I still talk to everybody who will listen because it totally saved my life. But I remember in 20 this, you're gonna not believe this, but in 2018, there I have goosebumps all over. In 2018, the then wife of my narcissistic ex-husband reached out to me on Facebook Messenger, and she said, "Hi, my name is Wendy. I know you don't know me, but I married your ex-husband after you did, and I have questions because I have the feeling that his behavior is narcissistic. And
What a
I'm
confirmation.
superly grateful that she can't see my face because I don't have a poker face. And I was laughing like, you think he's narcissistic? I'm going to go, yeah, he is. So she started describing on the messenger some of his kind of actions, and I was like, okay, so you're not crazy. Absolutely, he's a narcissist, and I've been working this program for the last couple of years, and it's absolutely saved my life. And she said, "Oh my God, I just signed up for that course."
Oh, wow.
Oh, why? She found it without me, but we connected. I mean, think of the odds of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear that story a bit actually. And it's
Wow.
kind of interesting because sometimes I'll be out or traveling and people will walk up and go, I'm doing NARP. And, they're in tears and they're
Gosh.
like, you saved my life. And I'm like, well, actually, you've saved your own because you did the work. I've just given you the tools. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a small world with the NARP community. It really is. It's
Yeah. It's
gorgeous.
amazing. And subsequently she's divorced from him. Phew.
Oh, how gorgeous. She's got the strength to
Totally.
way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So
I love this story. It's amazing
yeah.
what you've achieved, Heidi. And just talk a little bit about what you're doing career-wise, because that's really exciting.
Uh I am my superpower is teaching people. And so I went from teaching horses and riders to teaching people how to start businesses online globally to now teaching people how to freelance online globally. But doing it now is different. I don't have any of those weird emotional attachmenty feelings. I don't attract codependence. I don't attract narcissists. I don't attract and you know what's really cool? I would say that the biggest benefit of doing the NARP program and being a part of this community is that when I see and I'm with a client that I know has these things unresolved, I feel really good about saying no and not letting them inside of my like I don't need the money that bad.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but that's because I really feel like the not like NARP has helped me understand how
Yeah.
to operate without survival programming.
Yes, of
And I
course.
don't mean that I'm free of survival programming. There's no perfection. There is only progress.
And we're still always upshifting and healing and becoming a
Absolutely.
better
Thank
version of ourselves.
God.
That's what thriving
Absolutely.
is, and I love it.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And you do too.
And I do too. I mean,
Yeah.
I am super, super, super grateful. Yep.
Yeah. And
And
you're
able to, you know
constantly
what else is
expanding. Yeah.
one of the other really big differences that I think is something that I didn't even think about early on, but I really enjoy now is I am able to appreciate. It's different. Appreciating my friends, appreciating a meal, appreciating an
Yeah.
animal, a flower, a moment,
Love
you
that.
know, being able to appreciate stuff like that on that level is really a huge, huge gift. And I know that's from this experience. Yeah,
I love
it's cool.
that. Gratitude's so beautiful. And it says to the field, more of that, please. So
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, Heidi, so many people feel hopeless, understandably, when they've come from generations of narcissistic abuse. And what would
Yes.
you say to somebody who believes that they're never going to escape those patterns?
I thought the same thing, but I did, and you can. I will not say that it is easy, but I will say that it is simple. And simple, even though it's not always easy, is a road. It's a
Yeah,
road. You could take it.
yeah, beautiful.
You could take it.
So just if you were to wrap it up, how has NARP influence the way that you see yourself, your past, and your future?
Well, kind of a loaded question. As far as seeing my past, it helps me uh not wish it weren't my past.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It gives me the opportunity to know that that experience has been is part of me,
Yeah.
good or bad, doesn't matter, can't judge it. It's chocolate cake. There's no bad or good about chocolate cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Present.
Oh, goodness. We've
Oh,
got a cat here,
hey, see
everybody.
animals. Mm, awesome. Um, present, uh, present, the most beautiful thing about the present is that I have the opportunity to decide if I'm going to allow myself to go down some weird little road, or I could just skip it and go up into an upshift that I know is possible. As far as my future, I knowing that the field is completely unlimited
Mm,
instead of thinking the field is completely unlimited,
yeah.
knowing that I came from a conditional love due to be loved, and
Mm,
now understanding again, understanding, but really just knowing that I'm a human being doing things instead of a human doing just
yeah.
that is
Yeah.
like, that to me says that the future is, I don't know, completely unlimited. And even though my mind still puts little fences up,
Mm,
that I get still have the opportunity to say, I am going to walk through that electric fence today,
yeah.
and it's not going to zap me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have quantum tools.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're usable. They're
Mm,
usable. You can use them even if they feel completely foreign. Completely. Look, people ski all over the world. They love
yes.
skiing. It's a big sport. In
Yes.
skiing, the number one counterintuitive thing people do when they learn how to ski is lean back. Like you might as well kiss it death, right? Bye. You
Yes.
have to lean in. You have to
That would be
lean
me.
down. At me too. I was an adult beginner at skiing. I lived in Aspen, Colorado. People are like, "Oh my God, don't you ski?" I'm like, "No, I ride horses. I play
Mm,
polo. I don't ski.
yeah.
Not well." But my point is, even though the NARP modules and everything that you see, hear, feel at the beginning
Yeah.
feels like learning how to ski and you want to lean back,
Yeah.
just lean in. Lean in. Because it
Beautiful
gets really
analogy.
fun. It's really fun.
Yeah. And then you start flying down hills and you feel so free. It's
And
true.
light and less work. Less work.
Oh, yes. Life
I
becomes
do so
less
much less
work.
work. Yeah.
Me too. I get 10 times more done for 10 times more effectiveness and
I re-
outcome than I ever
I
used to do before now.
Absolutely. And I also remember listening to you one time. This was really early on in some video you did, and you said, I was with a girlfriend and I got a trigger and I was so grateful and
Yeah.
I shifted on it right away.
Yeah.
And I thought, is that ever going to be me? And yet it is. It
Yeah.
is. Those triggers are opportunities. I never ever thought that that would be like an opportunity for me, but it is a huge gift and a huge opportunity, and I get QFH to use on it, you know, quantum
Yeah.
freedom, freedom healing.
Exactly. And narcissists are the biggest trigger dealers of the lot.
And
They
thank God
really
for
are.
them.
Exactly. Well, we wouldn't be where we are today without them. As
I would
tough
hate to,
as the
I would hate
breakdown
to.
was to get to the
Yes, yes,
breakthrough, it's been
yes.
worth every little bit. All right. So
It's worth it.
one last question, Heidi, and thank you so much for your time. What would your past self before NARP say if she could see you now?
Um, uh, she would say, I knew you had that in you. I knew you had that in you.
I love that. I love that. That's the
I knew that was
perfect.
there.
Yeah, I've got goosebumps. I love that. Wow. So, Heidi, thank you, my love. You've been through it all. You've been through therapy, surviving narcissistic abuse, generational narcissistic abuse. You've even faced a life-threatening illness, and it's been amazing. So, look at you now. I'm so proud of you, and you're ongoing doing things with me all of the time. And I'm just seeing your life expanding and expanding and expanding. So, for those of you who are watching, our dear thrivers to be, who are still stuck in the pain, the fear, the cycles of abuse, please know that there is a way out of it, because Heidi's journey is beyond inspiring. From breaking free from generational trauma to overcoming life's most intense challenges, you are an embodiment of a thriver, and we love that. So, Heidi, what would you say to the people that are still stuck in pain? What would you say to them about NARP?
I would say that Nike stole my byline and just do it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because I know that sounds trite, and I know it sounds easy from sitting where I'm sitting comparatively.
Yeah.
However, if you can. You can. It's possible you can. If I can do it, I mean, I was deep into all the fun stuff. Cigarettes, booze, all that fun, self-avoidance. Huh. You
Oh, you've
it's
just
a matter
muted
of
yourself. Oh, you're back.
oh, I was just going to say, it's not really a matter of can you or can't you. It's just really a matter of will you or won't you. And I know if you really, really want it, you will. And we'll all be here to support you energetically, globally. Everyone's here for you. You can do it. You can.
Yeah, we have a beautiful community. You don't have to do this journey alone. We've got so many resources. And also, too, the cost of NARP is less than 3 therapy sessions generally. And you also get a guarantee. You get a no questions asked guarantee to try it. So there's nothing to lose except your trauma and the previous life that you were living so that you can thrive.
Yeah,
So
break free.
check out the link in the description, guys, and you can find more information about NARP. So, Heidi, thank you so much, my love, for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you.
And Thrivers, if this conversation resonated with you, leave a comment. We always love to hear you, and also any questions. And also, too, let us know what your biggest takeaway was. And as always, thrive on. Lots of love. Lots of love,
Thanks.
Heidi.